With the new map update, a different dynamic has been created in Fortnite, with the west side of the map dominating in popularity over the east. A huge part of the appeal is obviously Tilted Towers, the biggest city in all of Fortnite and most luxurious loot location. Come out of Tilted alive and you're most likely going to have your hands on a Scar, RPG, bolt action, or possibly all three if you're really lucky. But there comes the catch. You have to come out of the most popular drop zone in all of Fortnite alive. So we're talking about the drop zone that has anywhere from 10 to 30 people going in there in a solo. Most people will probably tell beginners to avoid Tilted Towers, which typically is a good idea if you're going for the win, but I actually think the heavy amount of combat and the action that Tilted provides can really help new players learn the game quickly. I mean, what's the worst possible situation going there? You die right away and you hop back into a game. You don't waste 10 to 15 minutes of not seeing anybody and then dying. You at least get to engage with one person really quickly, and you'll either come out on top of that learning something, or you'll die and you'll learn something anyways. So after 50 games of going there and a dozen solo victory royales, I put together my top tips for Tilted survival. Wow, that's enough with the tongue twisters. Let's get into it. Victory royale, baby, let's go. The most important point for survival in Tilted Towers is the landing. Newbies are always destroyed when they land here because they either don't get down quick enough or they don't land in a smart location. If you guys do both of those, you're going to be dead right away, and none of the rest of this video is going to matter if you don't get down the landing. As far as landing quickly goes, we're going to first take a look at Tilted Towers on the map. I hope you all know your directions because I'm about to reference them a ton in this video. If you get confused or lost, make sure you pause the video and rewind because like I just said, landing is super important, and if you don't do it right, none of the stuff further in this video is going to matter, so make sure you get down the landing. The first thing we notice is that Loot Lake rests directly to the north of Tilted Towers. Anytime the bus flies from north to south or in the general direction of Loot Lake, try to fall towards the water. This is going to allow you to fall farther before pulling out your glider, and you're going to beat down most of the players to landing in the city. Now if the bus is coming from the east going west or the south going north, fall towards that river that is directly to the east of the city. Just like the lake, rivers allow you to fall down farther and land quicker. It's not that hard, guys. Just remember that you want to fall towards water if it's there. If not, and you're dropping from the west, make sure you aim for some of the roads on the way into the city. The biggest key is to not fall over mountains or hills or buildings that are going to make you pull your glider early. So focus on the low points in the map. It's not that difficult. Just make sure you're pulling your glider at the right time and you're falling towards the right things. Now that you have your glider pulled, scan the area for other players. If your games are like mine, there's going to be a ton of people to watch out for going into Tilted. If you notice an area or a rooftop within the city where you can beat other players to, head there. But as I talked about in my beginners video, grabbing a gun first is always priority number one, so look for those rooftops with guns. Try to get there or get on, the little ledges around the city, anywhere, staircase, get down and get a gun. Never strand yourself on a roof that has nothing because you're going to be dead within a minute. People find you so quickly in Tilted Towers because it's a very condensed map, everything is really tight, and you can hear footsteps everywhere. So if you did not glide down extremely fast, or you don't like to play as aggressive as me, like landing on a rooftop, try to swing around the back of a building and land at a side door. No matter where you land, I will tell you a million times, grab a gun. Now that you are landed and have a gun, listen for footsteps inside your building. 90% of the time, one or more people will land in your building at Tilted. There's a huge meta going on within the game right now, and the building warfare, and that revolves entirely around the shotgun. Some people could make the case for silenced pistols, but I prefer to have a pump or tactical shotgun in my hands whenever I initially land. Of course, always use whatever you prefer and what plays best to your playstyle, but I really prefer the shotgun, and I think they're most overpowered inside these situations. So there's a large amount of doorways and staircases that allow you to quickly poke around a corner and shoot, eliminate an enemy with a well-aimed headshot. If you think you're not good with shotguns, don't worry. Neither was I before I started going to Tilted. It forces you to get good with these. You're going to have plenty of practice here. One of the best strategies for the inside building fight is the double pump. So what this is where you have 2 pump shotguns right next to each other in your inventory. It's going to let you shoot, switch guns, shoot really quickly. You can fire off 2 shots. So prioritize pump shotguns over other guns and try to place them right next to each other in your inventory, and then you're going to be able to quickly fire off 2 shots with over 100 damage potential. I have, and you will, eliminate enemies using this strategy in these really tight spaces very quickly. Also, for building warfare inside, of course, listening, like I said earlier, is extremely important. So plant yourself. You always want that high ground. Try to find your way to the staircase and get above your opponent. So if you didn't land at the top of the building, I know it's kind of hard to get that staircase advantage, but make sure you have some resources to where you'll be able to build a ramp, build whatever to mess with your opponent and give yourself that advantage in the fight. Outside of the landing step that I talked about earlier, this step has to be the most important in getting Victory Royale and surviving Tilted Towers. So I don't consider myself a pro player because obviously I'm not a pro player. You know, I make YouTube videos and that's that. But besides that, I'm not sponsored to play. However, I would consider myself definitely an above average player. I win more games now than I lose, and I used to be really bad. So now I definitely would consider myself above average. And this is the step that still, to this day, is the hardest for me to get past. Once you have finished taking care of business in your own building, you can start worrying about the other ones. If you have one, lay a trap on the ceiling of the bottom floor staircase. You would not believe how many people I've killed with this strategy who have been trying to sneak up on me come from my own base. So it not only can help alert you of the enemies, but it can also pick you up a couple of eliminations. And so this is the best way to do it. Make sure these buildings, you search for everything. There can be traps hidden away. Use the traps to your advantage. After that, find your way to the top of your building and build a structure in one of 2 ways. These are 2 ways I really love to do it. But if you have another building strategy that you really like, remember, Fortnite's all about personal preference and what you're comfortable with. So go with your base. I'm just going to throw out 2 ideas that I typically go with and have really worked for me in the past. And these 2 are the top floor base and a roof base. For my top floor base, I like to knock out a couple of floor tiles and replace them with my own elements. Now, the name is self-explanatory, so you just go to the top floor of your building and this is where you build this. It gives me the ability to edit the tiles to search for incoming enemies below me when I'm editing the floor, and most top floors have windows, but I prefer to knock down one wall on each side of me and replace this with a wall of my own with the middle spot edited out. Now I can really take advantage of the third person view in Fortnite to look out for other people while I'm still in cover. Whenever you see an enemy, just strafe back and forth, firing off shots, and this will greatly reduce your chances of being sniped. Third person is your best friend, so you'll be amazed by how many people you catch off guard and tilted whenever you use windows and your surroundings for cover. As for the roof base, this design is incredibly dangerous. I've been sniped out of this position multiple times whenever I'm off guard, but it's also served me very well whenever I have a sniper myself. On the roof of your building, build ceiling tiles all around you, but make sure you leave one panel open for you to escape into the floor if need be. This is going to give you the versatility of being able to duck in and out of cover very quickly with a nice little escape route. It's also going to make it tougher for other snipers to land a shot on you, quickly ending your game if they hit you in the head. If you're on a lower building, I would go with the more traditional ramp base, which can help you quickly lay down floor panels to protect yourself from someone in the higher ground. If someone has that high ground on you and is overpowering you, you can always escape down into your building. Use the windows and such on the lower floors to scope out the enemy and choose where to go from there. This game is all about countering other opponents' moves. You'll hear pro players talk about this all the time. Somebody makes a move, you need to counter it. So in this case, they have the high ground, they're trying to overpower you with that. You need to escape to the lower ground and use the element of surprise. So find yourself a window like we talked about earlier, use your third person to keep an eye on them, and then make your move from there. Now that you have your base built, pay attention to sounds when trying to figure out what to do next in Tilted Towers. Catching 2 people mid-fight can lead to 2 easy kills, and you can clean up the survivor and take all that loot. The big meta going on right now revolves around sniping outside of the buildings. Watch out for those hills and mountains around the city. There are plenty of cheeky snipers out there waiting to pick off people just like you. This is where the well-developed bases from earlier come into play. These can let you safely scan your surroundings and figure out where to go next. Always, always, always use that third person to your advantage. If you want a guide on how to get better at sniping, I can definitely put one together for you guys. If you don't have a lot of resources, look for wooden pallets. A lot of these buildings in new locations have these located all over the place, but few players realize how much wood these small pallets carry. I always go into buildings and find these because players just left them there. Breaking down a few of them will get you into the hundreds of wood very quickly, and this is going to give you a resource advantage over other players, leading you to win gunfights and anything else outside of the city, and will really help you build your base that I just talked about up before in the video. The importance of building is not undermined by your location in the city. You're still going to need resources to build up on other enemies and to protect yourself out in the open. I shouldn't have to say this, but I definitely will, because I know a large amount of my friends that are still kind of new to the game skip over ammo boxes all the time. There are ammo crates all over Tilted Towers, so look under the stairs, on shelves, and in any of these spots. You can never have too much ammo, but you will undoubtedly die from not having enough. And there you have it. Those are all of my tips for surviving Tilted Towers, the Fortnite equivalent of Chicago. Practice these and you will be king of the towers in no time. If you have any additional tips, feel free to leave them in the comments down below. I have plenty of Fortnite guides coming in the future, so make sure you subscribe for more. This has been Cole from the Rodey Bros, and I will see you all in the next video.